Okay, cool.
Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of another Dime In The Jukebox. Today, my guest is the lead singer for the Freedom Ledges, as well as Sailor Ripley, Catt Christine.
What's up?
Yeah, thank you so much for being on my show, Kat.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problem, no problem. So remember that the first time that I saw you on stage was when I checked out the Freedom Ledges at the trip in Santa Monica. I believe it was back in 2018, maybe. Yeah, like the fall of 2018.
Trip in Santa Monica, the Freedom Ledges. Yeah, we played there a whole bunch. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's been a while since I've seen you guys live since then.
Opened up for the burlesque acts.
Yeah, it was right before the burlesque act started. And I haven't seen you live in like the longest time because I guess I don't really have time to go out as much these days. And and like when I do, I always end up seeing some other bands, but hopefully
So
I'll be.
you are frozen. Yeah, you're like freezing and cutting in and out. So I'm not actually getting any of what you're saying.
I see. Oh, okay. I just
Let's
connected
see.
my Wi-Fi to the right, source. So
There we go.
okay, yeah. Hopefully it'll stop cutting out now. Sorry about that.
Okay, no worries.
Yeah. Okay. So as I was saying, I haven't really had much time to go out lately, but hopefully I will come and see one of your shows one of these days. Are you playing mostly with Sailor Ripley these days, or the Freedom Legends too?
Yeah, no, it's all Sailor Ripley now. Sadly, after the pandemic, the Freedom Ledges basically dispersed. Most of the band either moved away or just went on to do different things. The Freedom Ledges had been a band for like 15 years, basically, with the leader Deacon Ledges and Juan Lozano, and then I joined them in the last like 6 years or so of that project. And then after COVID, most of them went away. So Deacon and I regrouped and started Sailor Ripley with new songs and a new lineup and stuff. So that's the band that we're now like focusing on and playing out and stuff like that.
I see. Okay,
Yeah.
well, thank you for informing me that the just broke up because I checked out their page on Instagram recently, and I was kind of under the impression that the band is still together, like, and it also kind of looked like you were still with them, but apparently not.
Well, we still like the band. Deacon uses the Freedom Ledges as his like umbrella for all of the other projects that he does. It's his band. It's his like title and stuff. So we just use that Instagram now to promote all the other things that we do. We promote the Sailor Ripley shows, and then we promote our duo. We have like a duo jazz thing that we do with the piano and vocal under just Catt and the Deacon, and so we use that to promote all that stuff. So yeah, the Freedom Ledges themselves are not, we're like as a band aren't playing anymore, but it's now just used as like we release music under that title, like as a umbrella company kind of deal.
I see. Yeah, well, I guess I'm just gonna have to check out the Sailor Ripley page for updates and
Yeah,
stuff.
definitely. Yeah, that's the main focus these days for sure.
Okay. Okay then. So my first like official question for you is, so you were born and raised in South Florida, and you
Mm-hmm.
grew up with your mother and grandparents,
Yeah.
and you were doing musical theater growing up.
Yeah, definitely. I was like my whole family does theater in some way pretty much. And so I mean I grew up doing theater all through high school and local theater and stuff like that. Yeah, I was definitely a big theater kid my whole life. That's why I have such a big voice now. Like that's always everybody's first comment is like, "Oh wow, you really got some pipes." It's like, "Yep, it's from theater for sure."
Yeah, you
So
definitely
yeah.
do. Yeah, because I remember when I was seeing you live, like, I was really impressed by how strong your voice is.
Yeah, it's I'm a belter for sure. Very like Ethel Merman
Mhm.
kind of like singer. Yeah, that's my background. So I like to incorporate that in like rock music and stuff like that now, which I think is super fun.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and like having a big voice, if you want to sing rock and roll, like it's definitely a major plus. It's actually kind of like a requirement even because it's really hard to sing rock music if you have
Yeah,
a voice.
definitely. Yeah. And you don't want to blow your voice out. It's good to be like trained and know how to use it properly.
Absolutely. At what age did you first start singing and acting on stage?
Probably around like probably around 12, I would think. In like middle school, I guess, is when I really got into it. Because that was my first like introduction to just theater in general, because I went to a performing arts school in like seventh grade, and so I got super involved with the theater program in seventh grade and eighth grade, and had the director of that program was a close family friend, because like I said, my whole family are performers, and they like in South Florida in the professional local theater scene there. They were in every theater and running dance studios and all that stuff. So they really knew everybody in the community in South Florida. So they knew my family already, and I got really involved with it basically then, and did all the shows and stuff like that, and just kept going through high school, and it was great.
Nice, nice. So yeah,
Yeah.
you started training like pretty early on. And how old are you now?
I am now 31.
Hmm.
Yeah. I've been in LA since I was 18. I moved here right away. So I've been here for a minute
Yeah,
now.
see,
Yeah.
I just turned 31 this year as well, back in
Oh,
June.
nice. Yeah.
Yeah, and I also moved to Los Angeles when I was 18, right after graduating high school.
There you go. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
definitely
it's a long time to be here. It's funny, like when I talk to people now and they're like, "Oh, I've been here for like 2 and 3 years, 2 or 3 years." It's like, "Oh God, I've been here for a long time."
exactly same here. But
Yeah,
definitely, I feel very blessed to have come here and to have lived here for such a long time. It's like if you want to be like an artist or a musician, and when I first moved out here,
yeah.
I wanted to do fashion originally, so I went
Oh,
to
cool.
Otis design school, but my focus has been like shifting lately. And I mean, Los Angeles definitely has so much inspiration for like
Yeah, it's definitely the place to be, I think, if you're involved in these creative fields. I mean, New York is always an option as well. That was where actually when I was so focused on musical theater, that was my long-term plan. When I was done with high school, I was going to go to college in New York and study theater there and go do Broadway, and that was the path for me for sure. And then around like 17, I started hanging out with a different crew of people. They introduced me to rock and roll music, they introduced me to marijuana, and suddenly I got like interested in the idea of like writing my own music and performing my own music on stage rather than other people's words and stuff like that. So, and I had some family that had just moved to Los Angeles, so luckily I was able to kind of pivot and just go headfirst into this like new territory that I hadn't really discovered before. Was all this the idea of just writing original music really and performing your own as yourself rather than a character.
Mhm. I see. Wow, really cool. Yeah. Also, after I graduated college, I had more time to go out, and I just then started to discover like the whole Sunset Strip scene and all of the clubs around LA. And
Mm-hmm.
I love going out to hear live music so much. I started making friends with so many musicians, and technically, I have always been interested in rock music since about the age of 14. Like, I was listening to it, I was reading some rock and roll bios here and there. Well, mostly in my like early 20s. That's when I got really into like reading rock and roll biographies.
Yeah,
And
that's cool.
yeah, and so after I started going out and like meeting all of these people, like basically it just opened up my love for rock and roll like so much more. And I just kept going from there.
Yeah, it's great when you meet other people who are like into the same stuff as you and can like help like open your mind and help you like meet all these like new people, which always leads like the musician I think scene in LA is surprisingly small. It's everybody knows everybody, has worked with someone in one way or another. Like you always cross paths, and it's super cool. It's very much a family, and usually everybody takes care of each other.
Oh yeah, yeah, that's definitely really true.
Yeah.
So, you come from a family of performers. Was it a certain family member that inspired your love for singing and performing?
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely like my grandfather is like the patriarch of our family. He has taught everybody everything. He's like so knowledgeable about theater and performing and stuff just in general. And like between him and my aunt, who is this amazing jazz musical theater singer, she did theater her whole life, traveling and on cruise ships and everywhere. So between the two of them, they really like ushered me into like finding my own. We would perform together. As like we have little family shows that we used to do in Florida growing up. So I would do duets with her and then duets with him, and he would direct us. And yeah, it was definitely my grandfather for sure just gave me the knowledge that I needed, and then my aunt taught me so much about like actually using my voice as an instrument.
I see. Yeah, that's really cool. That's
Yeah, and they both live out here in LA now, which is great as well. So my aunt moved out here first, and then we have a kitty cat cameo. Yeah, my aunt moved out here first, and then my grandfather came out here as well. So now I have both of them living in LA with me as well, which is super great to have them so close and so supportive.
I bet. Yeah,
Yeah.
did they go to Los Angeles right around the same time you did, or did they get here earlier or later?
My aunt moved out here first with her husband and their kids to like do some. They were having their son was pursuing acting at the time. He was like little child actor, so they ended up just moving out here to just really go all into it. And my uncle, her husband, is a piano player as well. So the two of them are a like jazz duo. They perform together. They perform separately, and so they're musicians, actor, family. And then I moved out here after that to stay. I was able to stay with them. They got me started, they got me a job, got me a car, got me all like ready for adult life. And then my grandfather moved out here shortly after that. And then I was able to live with him. He was my roommate for the first like 10 years or so, or maybe a little like 9 years of me living in LA. So we lived together for my whole like beginning of my time out here, which is great. He's a great roommate. He loves movies and he's super funny.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome.
Yeah, he's a great guy. We're super, super close. My family has always been really close. So, like we're up in each other's business all the time, super supportive. Like, like we just had lunch yesterday together, my aunt, my uncle, my grandfather, and me and my boyfriend for his birthday, for my grandfather's birthday. So we're just always doing stuff together.
I see. Wow. Yeah, it definitely sounds like from what you've been telling me about your family that you guys definitely are super close. You have a big family. So, and
Yeah.
it's great how, they always support you and that you were able to live with your grandfather when you came out to LA. So that's definitely awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, it's been great. I'm super lucky to have like such a close knit and so supportive. Like it's what my mother as well is my biggest fan. She like is probably the reason I have such a big ego because I can do no wrong in her eyes. Everything I do is amazing. Everything I do is wonderful, which is great. It's a great, like, and we're super close. Yeah, and my grandmother as well has always been such a great supporter. She would always get me to every audition I needed to be at when I was like younger, get me the right dance shoes and the right outfit and make sure I have this done or that. Like she was super on top of making sure I was everywhere I needed to be. So together it was a great machine that got me on the right track to doing the stuff that I like love to do.
Yeah, it definitely sounds like it. Wow. What artist or song first inspired you to perform the type of music you are performing right now?
It's funny. I was just thinking about this the other day. I think honestly, it had to be. I have like such a memory of being in my bedroom when I'm like 16 and like discovering all this new music. And while it wasn't new at the time, I was a little late on it. But the Dresden Dolls, for sure, Amanda Palmer, like was such a cool like new, it was rock and roll, but it was theatrical still. So it was a great little bridge for me to come over from musical theater into this rock and roll world. And she plays piano like it's nobody's business. It's just her and a drummer and they sing these amazing cabaret rock songs, and her lyrics are dark and twisted and cool. And yeah, so that whole that album, I think it's No Virginia. They have two albums. One's called No Virginia and one's called Yes Virginia. I get them confused sometimes, but one of those albums had like all these songs that I loved. Coin Operated Boy is probably their like most famous single, but that album is just like filled with these great tunes that are such a cool like, and it's female, like hard hitting female vocals, loud and in your face, and just And when I listened to that, I was like really opened up to, oh, there's other stuff I can do. It was great. I love it.
Well, I have never heard of that band before, but now I definitely have to check it out.
Yeah, definitely. They're a great band. They've got lots of records. They're still performing now. Like they've been playing some shows in New York. They're playing a festival in Chicago next month. She does a lot of solo stuff as well, little ukulele stuff here and there, but together they're a really great band.
Okay.
Great 2-person rock band.
Nice. Yeah, I just looked them up on Google, and I will definitely check them out on Spotify.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, when I'm on my way out tonight. Okay. So, you moved to LA right after high school to perform original music. How soon after moving here did you join the band, and what band was it?
Well, I moved out here. I was 18 and I didn't know anybody other than my like aunt and uncle. So, I got a job and I was able to meet somebody who worked in the same little like strip of restaurants that I worked at. And he took me to it was a hostel in Hollywood, USA Hostel, where they had music nights every Tuesday or something like that, where it was like kind of an open mic situation for like the people who were tourists staying at the hostel. But the guy who ran it also had his LA musician friends. He would book them to also play. So it was a mix of like open mic tourists and local LA musicians showcasing stuff. So went to that and was able to like start like meeting people who were musicians. And I didn't play an instrument at the time. I didn't know how to play guitar yet. I ended up teaching myself that probably within the like first 2 or 3 years of being here. But I did a lot of just like duo stuff with my ex who played guitar, and we would just do a lot of covers and play the open mics and here and there. And then we started writing a few songs. And then we started a band together that I called Catt and the Haunted Blues. It was just like vocal, guitar, bass, drums. We had like 4 songs maybe or something like that I'd written. We played maybe 2 or 3 shows. This was probably in like 2018 by now, maybe. So we did that for a little while, but I ended up not being the best like band director. I was still so young and I couldn't really like lead a band and get rehearsal schedules and this and that and all the stuff that came with it. So I kind of let that fall to the wayside. And then eventually Deacon Ledges of the Freedom Ledges contacted me on Facebook because he had seen me perform at the hostel and said that they were losing their female singer had moved away. So if I wanted to come and sing a couple songs with them at a gig, just for fun. I knew most of them. They were friends. We'd known each other through the scene. And I went, did a show with them and sang 3 songs, and they were like, cool, do you want to just be in our band? And I'm like, yeah, sure. Cool. Like, you're on it. You guys have songs written already. You're doing rehearsals. You've got gigs booked. Sounds real easy. All I have to do is show up and sing some songs. Can do. So that was probably the like trajectory of all of that.
I see. Okay.
Yeah.
And the very first band that you formed like by yourself with your ex at the time, that happened like shortly after you moved to Los Angeles when you first started performing, or?
Yeah. It wasn't much. It couldn't have been much long after. I mean, I've been here 13 years now. It's like, yeah, I moved here in 2010. So it was probably like by 2012, maybe we were doing that. I would think, yeah, it took a little while. At the time felt like it took forever. Maybe like 2012, 2013. It was a couple of years, few years before I started playing with a band. But I didn't know anything when I moved here. I had never written a song. I'd never played guitar. I never played with a band before. The only thing I knew was that I knew how to sing and I knew how to be on stage. And I knew that was something I wanted to do. So I was able to like watch other people do it for the first year and a half, maybe. And like, I had my boyfriend at the time who played guitar and he had his band. And so I got to go sit on their rehearsals. And, it's so 18, 19 years old, I didn't know anything. And all my friends, of course, are 25, 30, 35. Like they're all so much older than me and so like into it. So it was really just I took the first like year or two to really just like take it in and see how it was done and stuff like that. And it took a while to even like so I had to teach myself guitar and learn how to write a song, and luckily I had people to help out. But it was like once we got that first song written, it was like, okay, it's starting to come to me now, starting to like make sense how we do this.
Mhm.
Yeah.
No, that definitely makes sense because I didn't even start another Dime in the Jukebox. Let's see, I started it just like a couple of months into 2021.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, by then I have been like into the whole like LA music scene for about 4 5 years since 2016.
Okay.
And yeah, definitely also took a while for me as well to like, because by then you have to read at least like a couple of books to know enough about the subject to to like develop at least some sort of theme for a project.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Right.
these things they take time.
Yeah.
Okay. Hmm. Mhm. So yeah, basically, when did you say you joined the Freedom Pledges again? It was like what, 2018?
I was with them for I believe like 6 years or so. So well, we broke everything kind of broke up in 2020.
Mhm.
So it had to be like 20, yeah, maybe 2016, maybe something like that.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Hmm. I see. So yeah, well, you really told me about like how the band broke up and stuff. And when exactly did you start Sailor Ripley again? And like, can you tell me a little bit more about like that whole project, how it started, and like how things are going for you guys right now, basically?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, so Sailor Ripley started like basically right after the Freedom Ledges decided we were done as a band, you know. I mean, everything was super amicable with those guys. They had been playing for forever and they were like, we have kids, we have stuff, we're moving away. We're done with LA. So, but me and Deacon were left like, okay, well, we still want to play music. So we had a we have a friend who had just moved here from Chicago, so this is all still happening in 2020. He had just moved here and he's a great guitar player, great musician. And Greg, St. Greg is his name. And we were like, well, we still have our bass player from the Freedom Ledges Kyle, who wants to keep playing. So we have Deacon who can play guitar. We have me on vocals. We just need a drummer and a new like lead guitar player. So Greg was down to play guitar. It's what he really wanted to be in a band. He had never really done that before. And Deacon had an old friend from an old band in New York that they had together. Her name's Freddie, and she was down to jump on and play drums with us. I think a lot of musicians were in an in-between period at the time of COVID because, you know, bars are closed. They're not having gigs. Nobody wants to get together in a room to rehearse because we're scared or whatever, you know, whatever it is. So we were able to pick some people up and be like, we still want to play. Are you like, you know, we'll book a rehearsal space and we want to at least like do something. We're not just going to sit around and not play music. We have to play music. So we got that little group together and we wrote it. We had like 2 songs or something written already that we kind of had started writing with the Freedom Ledges so then we kind of took those and moved them over to Sailor Ripley, and we had Greg on lead guitar, and he's a great writer. So the 3 of us, me, Deacon, and Greg, would just like sit down and like pound out some songs, and we really wanted to take it in a slightly different direction than the Freedom Ledges. We wanted to be more rock, more hard rock forward, like with really focusing on me as the like lead singer, center focal point, and it being more my songs rather than Deacon songs, you know. So that's really how that all started. And we rehearsed a bunch and we finally were able to like, well, we've got like 6 songs, let's play a show. Like by then the bars were opening up again. So we played our first show. I believe it was still 2020, maybe 2021 by then, but in at Old Town Pub in Pasadena,
Mhm.
which is a great, you know, that club. It's a great little punk rock club.
I have heard of it. That name definitely sounds kind of familiar, but I have never been there. I see.
Yeah, it's been there for a long time.
Yeah, I need to make it out of LA. I have never been to
Yeah.
Pasadena. I have never been to like a club in Anaheim or anything like that. I know that there's a place over there called the Doll Hut that
Yeah,
my friends keep mentioning, and I feel like maybe I should visit it sometime. But you know, since I don't drive, it makes it that much more difficult to like go anywhere that's not like in the vicinity like of where I live.
right. Yeah. LA is definitely a town where you need a car to get around. It's like the
Absolutely.
public transit is not nice here. Yeah. But yeah, we played Old Town Pub. It's a great little punk rock club in downtown Pasadena. It's been there forever. We played there a couple times with the Freedom Ledges, and now we did our very first show there as Sailor Ripley, and it was awesome. I mean, at the time, it was great. We had a packed house. So many friends came out that we hadn't seen in so long. I think people were just happy to get out again after being locked down for so long. And then we just like rode that high and played as many shows as we could, rehearsed every week. We were writing songs, and it's been good. And we've since then have had lineup changes. Greg is no longer with us, and the bass player and drummer have now changed out, which is cool. We have Brandon on drums. He plays with Cliff Beach regularly. They're a great funk soul band that are like killing it all over LA. And then we now have Rufus on bass, who's a great bass player. So, and now we're just a 4-piece, back to vocals, guitar, bass, drums, which I think is cool. We don't have like an extra guitar player or anything like that. And we're playing a big show in September for Labor Day with like burlesque and fire dancers that we're putting together. And we're recording very soon, like a week from today, like August 20th, we're recording we're going to do some live studio recording with the new lineup. We have 2 songs out already, which is really cool. So we have our song Monster and our song All Bite, which are out on Spotify, Apple Music, all that good stuff. And so those were recorded with our like previous lineup. So we're going to record a couple of new songs with the new lineup and maybe get a music video out and just keep, we'd love to play outside of LA. Because we've played pretty much all all the venues out here now at this point that are not pay to play venues. So we'd love to like travel and get out of LA and play some shows in different cities and stuff.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And so it brings me to my next question actually. No, scratch that. It's the question after what I'm going to ask now. So which venues have you played in LA so far? Like both with Freedom Ledges and Sailor Ripley, and do you have a favorite one?
Yeah, I mean, our favorite one is definitely going to be Harvelle's in Santa Monica. They are a great, another like blues rock club that has been on the strip forever. They have a great sound system, a great sound guy. They treat their musicians well, and there's always a great crowd there. Yeah, Harvelle's. There's also one in Long Beach, but the Santa Monica location, we've played a bunch. We love it. It's a great, just little scene in that venue. But we played Molly Malone's. We have played the Federal, which is in North Hollywood, which is now the new Knitting Factory upstairs. It's so we played it when it used to be when it was just the Federal, but now it's the Knitting Factory. We've played El Cid. We've played Lucky Strike in Hollywood. We did with the Freedom Ledges there. It was really cool. Old Town Pub. So we just played the Offbeat in like on the east side in like Frogtown, Highland Park area.
Name sounds familiar. I think I've definitely heard the name of that place like a bunch of times, but I've never
Yeah.
actually been there. But yeah, a lot of these venues, Lucky Strike. Ooh, I haven't been there in forever.
Yeah, they were great. They have a great stage, great
Yeah.
sound. Yeah, it was a cool venue.
Mhm. Yeah, and what was the one that you mentioned that's in Santa Monica?
Harvelle's.
Harvelle's, yes, I definitely need to check it out because I live like basically right next to Santa Monica, and the only venues that I ever go in there are the Trip, even though I haven't been there the longest time. It's been since I visited that place. And technically speaking, like I also really like the Mint. It's not technically in Santa Monica, but like
the Mint, yeah,
it's kind of like close to it. I think it's like more in Culver City, but
yeah. I've never played the Mint. Personally, the Freedom Ledges have played the Mint back before I was with them. And I actually used to work at the Mint. I waited tables. I was like the cocktail waitress there for a while. It's a really cool venue. Yeah, I mean, a lot of these like venues that people know, like the Mint and like say the Viper or the Whiskey, are great venues, and we'd love to play them. But the deals with the bookers that they have there are usually not very conducive to small bands that don't have a big following. You know, most of them do pay to play or some version of that, which we don't subscribe to. You know, they want you to buy tickets up front and then sell them on your own. And if you don't sell your tickets, then you're out however much money. Or if you don't bring this many people, then you could then owe them money. That's what happens at the Mint. If you don't bring enough people, they will come to you and say, you now owe us money because you didn't bring enough people to your show. So stuff like that is why those kind of venues we haven't really played yet, which is just a weird practice in Los Angeles that we're trying to stay away from. A lot of people do it, but we think if we get, and then we know a lot of musicians that don't do it. And if more people say no to that kind of deal, the bookers can't take advantage of musicians like that.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard a lot of well, not a lot of them, but some of them complain about that fact as well. I have this one specific friend. In fact, I'm gonna go and see his band play tonight at Knucklehead. And he also has a problem with the whole pay to play thing. But
yeah, it's an issue. You know, there's certain bookers out there who really drive it home, and so we always try to you got to stand up to them. You know, it's like there's a lot of new people who just moved to LA and don't know any better, and they just think that's how you play. Oh, that's how you play the Viper Room, or that's how you play the Whiskey. And yeah, it is how you play it, but if you say no, eventually they'll have to just, like these other venues that we play, like Old Town Pub or Universal Bar and Grill in North Hollywood, we play a lot. There's just, it's like more of a 50-50 split between you and your booker. I understand everybody's got to get paid for sure, but you don't want to take advantage of small bands with small followings,
That's definitely very true. Yeah, I mean, they should not take advantage of small bands like that.
Yeah.
The whole point of why didn't they just try to nurture the band and let them grow at first instead of making them sell their tickets, and it's like if they don't sell enough, well, they end up losing money.
And you would go there and you're spending money, like we're spending money at their bar on drinks as well. It's like sometimes I go play a show and I'll spend more money at the bar than I made that night playing.
Yeah, the drinks at those places are pretty pricey.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, have you gone on any tours with either band yet?
No. Well, the Freedom Ledges did I guess we did a small tour of California. We did we've gone up to Redding, California, and played Lake Shasta, which is a great, they have it's like camping and boating, and it's way up there it's way up north. And so we did we did Sacramento and Redding, and then I think we just did LA, Sacramento, Redding, and then came back down and played maybe another one on the way back down. We did that one summer, which was really cool. We just little self-inflicted tour. We all kind of there in the Freedom Ledges there was seven of us usually. So, maybe three or four cars driving out with all of our gear, and then would meet up in Sacramento, and then okay, we'll see you up in Shasta, and then back on the way back down. Yeah. But nothing too official or too we love to most of we've talked to other bands about we saw you guys just did a tour, how was that, and how'd you do it, how'd you do it, and they're it's super fun and definitely do it, but just be prepared to pay for it. You're not gonna you have to have places to stay, you have to have somewhere to go, and if you don't, you're basically, and if you're a baby band, you're going to do it all out of pocket, and you just have to do it to play outside shows, just for the fun of it and the experience, Sorry, my animals are being naughty.
Well, tour is a tour. explore, you know. I mean, it's like you gotta start somewhere, and
Mhm.
it's a good experience to like, you know, it doesn't
Yeah.
matter how small it is. Besides, you guys are.
Right. Yeah.
And my last question for you is, what's next on your agenda musically?
Well, next is definitely with Sailor Ripley. We want to get the rest of our songs recorded and released for sure. So that's coming up. We're recording more. So hopefully we'll get those released. Recording is one thing. We're actually getting them released is another thing. So we get those out, and then we really want to shoot a couple music videos. We have an idea for one already. So it's finding the actors and paying people to do that. So we'll hopefully get a couple more songs recorded and out, and then get a couple music videos out, just to, you know, you got to have something to show for all the work you've put in. And then we'll keep playing live as well. And then I thinking about starting a new project, like just doing another, like writing new songs in a different capacity than our, like, because Sailor Ripley is such a like hard rock band. I'd like to maybe start doing something a little more like poppy and jazzy, with maybe horns and stuff. Just start a new like fun idea like that. I do my jazz stuff with Deacon, often as people will have us. Just always want to be performing and singing as much as I can, really.
See, well, really cool, really cool. Yeah. So, wow. Well, thanks again for being on my show. Catt has been
Thank you so much for having me.
no problem. No problem. It's my pleasure. And I will definitely be on the lookout for Sailor Ripley's new stuff on Spotify.
Yeah.
And I'll be sure to catch your next show. You said that next time you guys are going to be performing, it's going to be like at the end of August sometime?
We do, yeah, actually we just but we'll be at Harvelle's in Santa Monica August 25th for the West Side Revival show. They do there at the last Friday of every month. So it's always like 4 or 5 rock bands. It's great. It's a great time.
Nice, nice. Well,
Yeah.
you can make it and hopefully
Yeah.
see you there.
Yeah, thanks all.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. Have a good rest of your day. Bye.
You too. Bye.